Hi, I'm Darryn Farrugia and welcome. So this video is a follow-up to my New Year's resolution video of ultimately being able to play a single stroke roll at 200 beats per minute for 1 minute by the 1st of January 2021. And this is my getting started video, so I want to outline how I'm going to start this process. Towards the end of last year, I did a search in YouTube for how to play a fast single stroke roll playing traditional grip. I was quite specific because I play traditional grip. And so I saw some things, not a lot of stuff, and in addition to that, the stuff that I did see really didn't offer much in the way of how to develop this. I really wanted to be able to see someone playing traditional grip and demonstrating how they practiced it and playing it at those fast tempos. I did come across one video that didn't really explain anything in terms of how to practice it, but the demonstration itself of a single stroke roll was phenomenal. That video features an incredible drummer by the name of Dick Cully. I'm going to leave a link to that video in the description below. So the scenario here is that Dick appears to be in his garage, I guess, his practice space, with a couple of friends who are sort of asking him to demonstrate some technique things, including his famous single stroke roll. And I kid you not, the single stroke roll that Dick plays at the end of this video is phenomenal. Now, as I said, Dick doesn't explain how he practiced it, but he does give an interesting insight into his philosophy, and that is, he's talking about it's really about wrist strength. It's really about having good wrists, fast wrists, as opposed to relying just on finger technique, for example. So I had to think about this. In addition to this, now bear in mind that Dick comes from the Buddy Rich school of drumming. Buddy Rich was famous for explaining that he practiced a lot on pillows, which would develop wrist strength. Dennis Chambers said the same thing. In fact, there are a large number of drummers and people who I know personally that have done a lot of practice on dead surfaces to develop their wrist strength. Now, when I think back to all the years that I've been practicing, I could say with all confidence that practicing on a dead surface, whether it be a pillow, a cushion, a blanket, a towel, etc., is something that I have never done. In all honesty, I have never practiced on dead surfaces. I've done a lot of practice on practice pads where I have relied on rebound, but never developed the wrist strength, for example, by practicing on a surface that has no rebound. I recently spoke to my good friend and mentor, Peter Blick. Peter has one of the most incredible single stroke rolls I've ever seen. And I spoke to him about developing it, and he said that he did some practice, did a lot of practice on dead surfaces, and he actually mentioned this approach, which is basically taking a towel, sticking an old drum head on top of that, and that's your dead surface. That's really not going to give you any rebound. So any practice that you do on that is going to require you to actually pick the stick up. There's no way I can rely on rebound. So that's the first thing I had to take care of. Now, how do I practice? What's the approach going to be? What I'm going to practice is a single stroke roll and going for duration or endurance, let's say. So a single stroke roll for 5 minutes. I also want to start at a tempo that's not going to be taxing. I've been practicing, I started at 120, and then I did 122, and then 124, each of those tempos for 5 minutes. And then the next practice I started at 122, 124, 126. The next practice would be 124, 126, 128. Remember that each of those tempos gets 5 minutes of playing time. I think today I started at I think 128, 130, 132. So that's the approach I'm using. At this point, I'm only practicing this. I'm just using maybe the first month of practice just to get started with this approach, dead surface, and endurance style practice using single stroke rolls. I'm going to add to this practice routine. I'm going to add finger technique. Again, finger technique is something that I'm not really good at. And then beyond that, I will add some kind of molar practice, but I'll go into those things in more detail as they come. So my first video of every month will basically just, from this point on, be an update on where I am with this practice. I'm going to go into some detail with my practice routine, letting you know exactly where I'm at, and then whatever other exercises I add to this existing practice routine. Feel free to join me. Also, if you like this content, please feel free to subscribe, like, share, hit the notification bell. See you next time.